Mm. In Germany, you matched up against Dirk Nowitzki, who was a future NBA champion, MVP. Who is some of the best players you've played against?
Yeah, I mean Dirk's got to be up there. I mean, we played him like several times. So I remember we probably played Germany like 10 times, and
Mm,
and I had to go guard him every time. And what a cool opportunity. He's a 7 footer, same thing. Like he
mm,
just backs you down in the post and shoots a fadeaway, and there's nothing you can do. And the best thing about Dirk though is he's a great guy off the court. He actually hung out a little bit with the New Zealand team at that World Champs and after the tournament and stuff, and he really embraced New Zealand and loved our culture and things like that. But yeah, obviously Paul Pierce, Reggie Miller,
mm,
in 2004, before the Olympics, played against LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, those guys, Allen Iverson, Tim
mm.
Duncan.
Wow.
We've been very fortunate to play against some really, really cool NBA superstars. But even top European players, there's some fantastic players we've played against that are, top players that New Zealanders would never even know who they are, but they're multi-million-dollar EuroLeague players, and
Mm,
they are impressive as well. But obviously, someone like Yao Ming, China
mm.
going against guys 7'5", like talk about mismatch.
Yeah.
He always seemed to play really well against us. Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, gentle giant off the court as well. Always had time for a chat and things like that.
Yeah. Was it their athleticism that was just the difference, but or did they have superior skill? What was the biggest difference that just separated these guys?
When you play the USA team, it's athleticism, 100%. And when you
Mm,
play the African teams, the athleticism is just, man, it's just so high. And just,
mm,
you can't just throw a cross court pass with those guys, they just pick it off. The European teams, they're just so well drilled in on ball screens and execution, and they can all shoot. And so you can't leave anyone open. And we actually match up well against European teams, even though a lot of times there'll be a height difference because they're 6'11" guys are handling the ball on the perimeter, so they don't
mm,
pound you inside. Whereas you play the US team, they always seem to have an advantage with their athleticism and size. We just can't match it. So
mm.
we tend to match up really well with Asian teams and European teams. Are generally the two teams we've got. African teams and US teams, we struggle just with the athleticism.
Mm, yeah. Well, all our athletes are playing rugby, and which is happening there. But Pero Cameron was named in the top five after the tournament. Was he the best player you've laced it up with?
Yeah, he would definitely be up there for sure. If he's not the best, he's the top five for sure.
Mm,
He's definitely been someone on the world stage who's been the best for sure.
mm,
You know, is I mean, it's hard. It's hard comparison. Certainly, you look at Sean Marks and what Sean Marks has accomplished as a
mm,
teammate is probably greater than Pero. But what Pero's impact at a world tournament, getting All Star 5 at a world tournament is, the guys he was in was like Manu Ginobili, Yao
mm.
Ming,
Dirk.
the Dirk Nowitzki,
Yeah.
um, Peja Stojakovic. It's like
Mm,
all these guys are NBA superstars, not just NBA players. And Pero, he was phenomenal in that tournament. I've been fortunate enough to play with Pero, for many years, both at NBL level and like under 23s and things like that. And, phenomenal teammate, phenomenal person, player. He's someone who has put New Zealand on the map just with the way he played basketball and just because he was different to everyone. Everyone would
mm.
talk about, who is that guy on your team because he could do special things and just one of the strongest dudes you've ever met as well.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
just the strength is
Yeah.
second to none.
Yeah. Well, I experienced that firsthand in my lone NBL season in with Auckland, and I remember, Pero was just on this pedestal for me, and he was just this massive, massive guy, and I remember as I was marking, I can't remember the point guard I was marking, but I was at the top of the key, and then I just heard, screen right, and I was like, brilliant. And then I just, when you can see a shadow or just something that just
Yeah,
kind of comes over you, and I knew it was. And as it, going through screens, you either go over or around, and I felt like I was pretty good going over. And I remember, I went up tight to the point guard, went over the screen, and then Pero as I was going over the screen, Pero turned his butt, and now his butt is huge. And I remember my arms and my legs in midair, and just his butt was all my body, and I just lost all. Sorry, I remember my arms and my legs, midair, and I fell to the ground on the back, and I thought it'd be a foul or something be cool, but no, it's Piero Cameron. Of course, he's not going to get called here. But it was just my first experience of how strong, and it was just he didn't even help me up. He just kind of looked at me on the ground, and I just was out of breath and winded, and yeah, it was a crazy experience to play against him.